Southwest Florida International Airport just had the busiest month ever, with more than 1.5 million passengers. But that record probably won't last long with everything they're building right now. Today I'm breaking down the massive changes coming to Southwest Florida International Airport and the huge development already growing around it. After 27 years in this market, I can tell you which area could become one of the biggest opportunities for buyers over the next few years. Alright, RSW has been pretty busy lately. Just back in March, the airport had its busiest month ever. They had packed terminals, full flights, and people coming in from everywhere. And it wasn't even some holiday rush. That's just kind of the normal pace around here now. Last year alone, it handled more than 11 million passengers, putting it among the 50 busiest airports in the country. Then this past March, it broke another record, with more than 1.5 million passengers in 1 month, up almost 4% from the year before. That kind of traffic says a lot about what's happening in Southwest Florida right now. It hasn't stopped growing, not even after the pandemic boom. People are still moving in, still traveling here, still buying homes here. And you can even see it in the Florida Gulf Coast University reports. They track airport activity and the numbers keep showing the same thing. More people coming into Southwest Florida year after year. And around Fort Myers, the impact is huge. RSW brings more than $8.3 billion into the local economy every year and supports around 60,000 jobs across the region. Tourism keeps adding to it too. Lee County charges a 5% tax on hotels and short-term rentals. In the last few months of last year, that brought in more than $1.2 billion into the local economy, up almost 19% from the year before. And for the full year, that tax revenue alone brought in tens of millions. Every packed flight coming into RSW means more people staying in hotels, eating at restaurants, spending money around town, and adding to the growth happening across Fort Myers and the rest of Southwest Florida. Now, if you're thinking about buying, relocating, or trying to figure out which areas in Southwest Florida fit your lifestyle and budget best, that's a big part of what I do here. We've helped people move here from all over the country, including buyers doing the entire process virtually. A lot of clients mentioned how much they appreciated having someone keep the process organized, answer all their questions quickly, and help them feel confident making big decisions from out of state. So reach out using the contact info in the description below. Alright, let's get back into it. Right now, there's a $1.1 billion expansion happening at RSW, the biggest public project Lee County has ever done. If you live here or you're thinking about buying here, it says a lot about where this area is headed. Now, one thing people ask right away when they hear billion-dollar airport project is property taxes. But this project is not being paid for with local property taxes at all. The money's coming from airport revenue, FAA grants, state funding, and airline fees. So this expansion is not hitting buyers with higher property taxes, which is great news. The biggest piece of the project is the new Concourse E terminal. Construction started back in March of 2025, and they're adding more than 500,000 square feet of terminal space with 12,000 tons of steel. By the end of last year, they had already placed the final structural beam. So the main structure is standing now. When Concourse E opens, it will bring 14 new gates, and they have already built it with room for 19 later on. The airport says it can handle another 10,000 to 15,000 passengers a day once it opens. That's a huge jump. United, American, and Frontier are all expected to operate out of the new Concourse too. In a bit, I'll show you the new flights they're adding at RSW because they connect Southwest Florida directly to some major growth markets now. So stick with me. Now, the airport itself is getting upgraded too. There's going to be a new 9-lane TSA checkpoint, another business lounge, a new baggage system, plus more restaurants and retail space inside the terminal. Right now, they're aiming for November of 2028 to finish it. At the same time, they're renovating parts of the current terminal. They're adding more seating, another lounge, updated concessions, plus some changes to the security checkpoints. And all of that's happening while the new concourse is being built. Now, getting this first phase started was anything but easy. There were delays and a few issues early on, and I'll get into that next because it explains where the project stands today. Phase 1 had some serious problems early on. This part of the project was about renovating the current terminal, and the original budget was around $331 million. Then, Manhattan Construction, which was the general contractor on the job, started raising the alarm about problems with the engineering plans for the expansion. They brought in an independent review, and it confirmed the issue. The original design didn't fully account for the pressure the expansion could put on the current terminal structure. Officials even said that the roof could have failed during a Cat 5 hurricane if the project had kept moving under the original plans. So it wasn't a small one. That's why construction pretty much stopped for over a year while they sorted everything out. But another problem came up during that time too. Workers accidentally drilled into steel support bars in the concrete, which added more delays and more costs to the project. A terrible mess. That's how Commissioner Dave Mullica called the whole thing. He even even question how something like that wasn't caught earlier. Another county official addressed this problem, saying the original plans were a major mistake. After that, engineers came back with corrected plans, and the Phase 1 budget climbed from around $331 million to closer to $347 million. We're talking about $16 million more. And wait until you see the massive development already growing around the airport that could reshape this whole area over time. We'll get there in a minute. Now, after that, the airport brought in Parsons Corporation to monitor the project moving forward. At that point, county leaders were told that scraping the whole thing and starting over would cost up to $500 million and delayed the project another 7 years. So instead, they approved the updated plans and extended Manhattan Construction's contract through 2029. And guys, this is the kind of stuff that happens with projects at this scale. Things go back and forth while they sort out problems and make adjustments. But a lot of times that also means they're improving the project instead of just rushing it. The airport already said the current terminal is safe. Construction restarted back in April 2025. Phase 2 had already broken ground the month before, and now both projects are moving forward. So let's take a look at what they're building and how these expansion projects are gonna work. RSW has become one of the best airports in the Sun Belt, connecting Southwest Florida to major markets, and now has added new non-stop destinations. Delta launched its first ever direct flight from Fort Myers to Salt Lake City. That route had never existed before at this airport. Southwest also added seasonal flights to Austin, which has been one of the fastest growing cities in the country. So now you got two growth markets easily connected. On top of that, the airport added its first non-stop transatlantic flight, going straight to Frankfurt, Germany in about 9 hours. That flight now leaves on Thursdays and Saturdays. That's a big deal because now Southwest Florida has a direct connection to Europe, opening the door for even more growth in the region. And with all these new routes, the airport now has close to 70 non-stop destinations across the US, Canada, and now Germany too. More direct flights mean more buyers coming into the area. It means more investors visiting properties, more companies moving employees here, because Fort Myers now has easier direct access to major markets than most cities of this size. And later, I'll show you the area that could benefit the most from all this growth around RSW. And it's still pretty overlooked by a lot of buyers right now. But the airport isn't the only thing expanding around here. Right alongside the airport, more than 1,100 acres are set to become a huge business and commercial hub. The project is called Skyplex. The Lee County Port Authority controls the whole area, and the master plan was already finished back in 2024. Around 280 acres are set aside for aviation and logistics, like aerospace companies, aircraft maintenance, cargo, logistics, and businesses that need direct airport access. About 75 of those acres sit right next to the runway. The other part, which is about 860 acres, is planned for commercial development and is split into different sections. One for offices, retail, and hotels, and another for healthcare and technology. One company already there is Alto Resources, a global call center company that opened a building on site and plans to bring in several hundred jobs. This is a great location for companies because Skyplex sits inside a foreign trade zone, which gives businesses tax and customs advantages for bringing goods in and out. Plus, it connects directly to I-75, one of the main highways running through Florida and up toward major markets across the country. Some parts of the project are already active, but the full build out is going to happen in phases over the next couple of decades. Besides that, the airport growth is expected to continue long term too. Right now, RSW is the second busiest single runway airport in the country, only behind San Diego. And the airport already plans to add a second parallel runway sometime in the early 2040s, which would allow even more growth around the area over time. That's why people are already paying attention to the communities around these projects. Areas like this usually start seeing more demand long before everything is fully finished. So if you're buying in Fort Myers long term, you need to know how this kind of growth can shape the housing market over time. Projects this big don't happen in markets where demand is falling off. The airport expansion, Skyplex, the new routes, all of that is going to bring more jobs, more businesses, and more people into the areas closest to RSW. No doubt Fort Myers is going to see more demand from all this growth around RSW, but there's one area that I think could benefit even more over the next several years, and it still flies under the radar for a lot of buyers. I'm talking about Lehigh Acres. It's just east of Fort Myers along State Road 82 corridor, about 25 to 35 minutes from RSW. And compared to most of Southwest Florida, it still looks pretty undervalued for where it sits. A lot of homes there are still sitting in the high 200s to low 300s. You also get bigger lots, fewer restrictions, and more space than you're getting in places like Naples or Cape Coral for the same money. Besides, Lehigh Acres has grown more than 30% over the last decade, so it's not a small market we're talking about. It just hasn't caught up yet to the growth happening closer to Fort Myers and the airport. If you're buying long term, don't sleep on Lehigh Acres. Right now, inventory is still up across most of the metro. Homes are sitting longer than than they were during the peak years, and sellers are negotiating more. So there's a decent window right now. People buying now are getting ahead of future demand, but that opportunity probably won't last forever as these projects keep moving forward. If you're looking at Cape Coral, Fort Myers, or Lehigh Acres and want to know what the market is looking like right now, email me at german@swflhouses.com. I work with buyers and investors around this corridor every day. And if you want to see how this kind of regional growth starts turning into local commercial development, watch my video on Coral Grove in Northwest Cape Coral. It's a $700 million project tied to one of the next major growth areas in Cape Coral. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.